Richician!
Hey YouTube, Richician84 here, and welcome to Q&A number 7. I'm doing it slightly differently from how I normally do it. I'm doing it this way because, rather annoyingly, like a few hours after I filmed that channel update and rant video, my PC malfunctioned again. There I was, just chilling, watching videos on YouTube before turning in, and then I had a power cut, and then when the power came back on, my PC got fucked up, and now I can't boot it up, which is the last thing I need, considering what I ranted about. Especially considering that it has videos on there that I really don't want to lose. I can't even boot it up in safe mode, and those videos include the remainder of the Man vs Machine tournament. And it'll just be infuriating if I lose those, but if I can't get them back and end up losing them, I'm not even going to bother redoing them. I can't be arsed. So I'm just going to straight up tell you what happens if it comes to that. Now I would of course use my laptop to record the screen and read out the questions, but I don't trust it because, as you know, it has a tendency of turning itself off. And I really don't want that to happen while they're filming a Q&A, so I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way. Anyway, let's actually get on with the questions, since we're now, over 2 minutes in. And apologies if you can hear the fan. It's just really, really hot at the moment, and I need to cool down. So, I have 7 questions here from Matt and Alison Welch. 1. Out of all the Lost Art promos that have been released in the TCG, which one do you like more? Both Alison and I love the artwork for Offerings to the Doomed. I'd say Dark Magician Girl, just because of bias. I'm generally not fussed about alternate arts for cards, but if I had to pick one, then it's definitely Dark Magician Girl. 2. Have you seen the trailer for the new 007 movie No Time to Die? And if you did, what are your thoughts and opinions on it, and will you be checking it out? I might have done, I can't remember. Other than that, I don't think I did. So I'm a bit behind on the Bond movies. Like, I haven't even seen like every single one that came out. I mean, I would like to check the newest one out, of course, and watch all the ones that I haven't seen yet. 3. If Rush Duels ever did come to the TCG in the future, what would you do for a deck, since Dark Magician is a legend card and you're only allowed 1 legend card per deck? Well, the plan there is kind of predictable, really, and that's just simply to make a generic spellcaster deck which will play Dark Magician, and I guess 7th Road Magician as well, because why not? But it's fine. I'm actually I'd be okay with playing 1 Dark Magician, because then it'll feel like the way I play Dark Magician and spellcasters in general in the much earlier years that I've been playing the game. It does kind of suck that only 1 legend card can be used. I mean, originally I assumed that meant you could only play, let's say, one copy of Dark Magician and can't play 3, for instance, but now that counts for all of them, so it's kind of annoying that means you can't play like one copy each of Dark Magician, Blue Eyes White Dragon and Red Eyes Black Dragon in a deck. Because I found out the other day that Pot of Greed is actually a legend card. That kind of blew me away. I was like, wait, what? Pot of Greed is legal in Rush Tools? That's crazy. But annoying at the same time, because it means I can't play Dark Magician and Pot of Greed in the same deck. Yeah, it's alright though. Because regarding spellcaster decks in Rush Tools, I would choose Dark Magician over anything else any day. And if I ever made another Rush Tool deck, then I'll just play Pot of Greed in that. Simple. 4. Any thoughts on the newest Legendary Duelist pack coming soon to the TCG and potential Ghost Rare in that set? I'm excited for the Speedroid stuff, particularly. Because I have the deck, well, the core, rather, which I can get out any time I like. That's really all I'm interested in from that set. I mean, as I said in the channel update video, I would have picked up a box of that, but getting Battles of Chaos is the #1 priority, and I'll just pick up singles from the latest Legendary Duelist set. There is one thing I don't like about it though, and that is the existence of Baroness de Fleur, the upgrade of Chevalier de Fleur, which negates everything. It just really pisses me off, as everyone knows, I hate monsters that negate everything. Dragoon, Borrelode Savage Dragon, Cyber Dragon Infinity, things like that. And I'm just like, Konami, stop making monsters that negate everything! They ruin the game! People wonder why I don't like certain cards in certain decks and don't want to play in tournaments anymore. Yeah, I just hate that they keep making those kinds of monsters. I'm not looking forward to that, to be honest. What's worse is that it's generic, from what I could tell. Actually, I want to look up the exact materials real quick. Actually spelt Baroness wrong. Yeah, it is generic. That's all we need. Another generic synchro that negates everything. Wonderful. Whether or not the archetype will see competitive play, I don't know, but I'm sure there will be people interested in playing it, most definitely. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, if that's the case. 5. The Guardian archetype has been around since almost the beginning and hasn't had much good support since Dragons of Legend 1 with Dreadscythe. Any thoughts and opinions on how this archetype can be fixed and actually be good? Yeah, that was another classic archetype that I forgot to mention in the other episode. Guardians definitely, absolutely need more support to help them out. I'm thinking cards that can search out specific equips or any Guardian monster a card that will allow you to just summon the Guardian monsters without the need to have their respective equips, make backup Gardener a real card, most definitely. Trying to think what else. Maybe a draw spell. That's always good. And in addition to this, maybe have their own version of Glory of the Noble Knights, which would allow you to equip one of the respective spells to, like, a Guardian. Like, if Growl's on the field, equip Gravity Axe Growl to it from the deck. So I think cards like that would definitely help them out big time. Because I do agree with you and hear what you're saying. It's just so difficult to play. Like, I even remember giving it a go myself way back in the day, trying it out on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Virtual Desktop program. Don't know how many of you long-time Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans remember that program. It was like the original version of Dueling Network, basically. A program that was around from like 2003 or 4 up to I'd like to say about 2008, because that was the last time I used that program. Sometimes I was able to get the standard plays off, but other times it was a struggle. Number 6. Out of all the vacations you have been on in your entire life, which one was your favourite and favourite memory from that vacation? Well, it's a tie between two, well, not really a tie, but I can think of two. One of which was a family trip to Somerset back in 1995, where we stayed in this cottage for like a week, and would do the standard things, which is go to a swimming pool, go to the beach, and walks in some places. And luckily for me, there was a TV, so I would usually start the day by watching Power Rangers or VR Troopers, then He-Man, followed by James Bond Jr. If there was time. Of course, I'd watch all those every single morning throughout the summer holidays back then. It was a good time, and one of the greatest things about 1995. It was just one of the best years ever. Well, except for one shitty thing, though, which was my pet hamster escaping. That really sucked. It wasn't my fault, of course. A friend of my dad's was watching the house while we were away, and somehow the hamster got out, and we haven't seen that guy since then. But apart from that, though, 1995 was great. One of the much better years of my life, definitely, along with 2005, 2008 and 2013. The only years I can really think of that were actually great years, and just four of the best ever. Like, yeah, they weren't perfect, there were some bad things, about them, but it was a case where it was like the good just outweighed the bad. And I would give anything to just have a year like that again. Number 7, Request Duel. Your Dark Magician deck versus Express Gaming's Noble Knight deck. Sure, consider it done. We will make that happen next time I go and see Express Gaming. Then the next question is from Team Soul Forge Vanguard. With Yu-Gi-Oh! Been going on for as long as it has, have you had any regrets during the game? It could be decks not built or misplays that really cost you a tournament win, stuff like that. Oh god, yes, there were several regrets in all my years of playing. Like, I wish I could say that I have no regrets in life, but whether it's inside or outside of Yu-Gi-Oh, I have several regrets. In the case of Yu-Gi-Oh, there are things I do regret. Back in 2004, when I was starting to play the game properly, not based on Duelist Kingdom rules, there were times where I'd lose and just be a sore loser, which I'm not proud of, definitely not proud of at all. Like, I should have just been gracious, just basically acted my age more, I think. But, you know, I like to think that I've improved and matured a lot since then. I mean, I know there are times where I'm not very mature anyway, especially considering that I find farts funny. But all the same, I'd like to think I'm more mature now than I was back in 2004. What else? I don't know about not being able to build certain decks, though. There's never been a time where I'd wanted to build a deck and regretted not being able to build it. But in terms of decks I have built and regretted building, that's a different story, like especially when it comes to Dark Magic Swarm, Dark Magic Lockdown, and Spellcaster Lockdown, and Wave Motion Lockdown. Because the Lockdown decks, keep in mind, of course, I made these before I officially decided that I hated all Lockdown decks of any kind. The Wave Motion Lock was meant to be a real-life version of that deck, which that robot in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds used, which you say had to duel against in, what was it, episode 80 or 81? Like, it was one of those episodes, maybe 82. And I tried a real-life version of it. It didn't work. It sucked. Couldn't win any games with it, but then again, based on the purpose it was designed for, I just look back in disgust and wish I never made it. Same with Dark Magic Lockdown and Spellcaster Lockdown, where like the idea behind both those decks was to get out 2 or 3 copies of Magician's Valkyria to stop attacks, Secret Village to stop the opponent using spells, and Raw Decree to just shut down traps. On paper it seemed like a good idea, but in practice, not great. It was too slow, it was too inconsistent. I only ever managed to get the full lock into effect once. and that was against a counter fairy deck where only one spell was used. The other thing is, I had no way to stop monster effects, and by the way, this was long before Effect Veiler even existed. So although the decks sucked and didn't work, they were still lockdown decks, and I look back in disgust and wish I never made them. And of course, the story of Dark Magic Sworn I already went over like 2 or 3 episodes back. Another regret I have was basically from 2008, where I gave up on my pure-ish Dark Magician deck, like the Spellcaster version, which was basically my September 07, March 2008 build, and changing over to Prismagician, or because I felt the deck was getting hopelessly outclassed, considering Dark Return existed and Prime Material Dragon was a thing, which just hard countered a lot of cards I play, like Smashing Ground, Mirror Force, Old Vindictive Magician, Sakuratsu Armor. But looking back, I don't think I should have given up on that deck. Now, don't get me wrong here, Prismagician was a good incarnation of Dark Magician deck, and it worked when it didn't brick, or I wasn't playing against macro. But that's just it, though. It didn't really solve any of the problems I was having in the end, especially since synchros then came into the game, and like I keep saying, it was like, great, just when I stepped up my game, everyone else stepped up theirs, and then I started losing to players who I could normally beat, and I couldn't consistently make top 8 anymore. And then, like I said, there's the fact that Prismagician had those 2 big weaknesses where I would brick, or my cards would get banished by macro or D-fissure, or I guess bottomless trap hole and D-prison, because obviously regarding Prismagician, if any of my Dark Magicians get banished, then it's practically impossible to win, or at least it becomes really difficult to. But yeah, I wish I just stuck with the Spellcaster version, which was less bricky, and macro and D-fissure didn't hurt it as much as Prismagician did. Well, as it did for Prismagician, I should say. Sorry, I got some words mixed up there. I was like, well, why should I have even cared anymore how I did with Dark Magician back then? Like, if anything, I should have focused my efforts more on 2 of the goals I had back then, which was to win a tournament with my Elemental Hero and Rainbow Neos decks. Then again, I probably still would have had the struggles that I had back in 2009. And as for misplays, oh my god, yeah. Like, I swear I am just misplay prone. Like, I try really hard not to make them, but they just keep happening. And in fact, there actually was one in particular which did cost me a tournament win, which was back in 2007. I remember what happened was my opponent used Sangan to add Karibo to his hand, and I completely forgot that he did that. Just trying to think. Like, he was on really low life points. I can't remember how many exactly, but I remember I was on 1,000, and I remember bringing back a sacred phoenix with its effect, and I had premature burial in my hand, and a few beat sticks in the graveyard, but I didn't see the point of playing premature burial, so I went to attack the game, and he dropped Kariba. I was like, crap, and then I ended. Then, come his turn, he special summoned Cyber Dragon, then sacrificed it for Air Knight Parshaf, and trampled over one of my sheep tokens. Yeah, I was so upset and gutted about that. And all because I forgot about Karibo. Like, had I remembered, I would have played Premature Burial, brought back literally anything else in my graveyard, and I could have won. Like, a tournament win with Dark Magician was handed on a plate, and I messed up. And then, of course, there was that misplay I mentioned when I talked about Dark Magic Sworn, where I had Dark Magician, didn't play the Secret Village, which would have won me the match, and then I got fucked by Demise. And then there were two other misplays from a tournament back in December 2017, which led me to quitting tournaments for the 5th time. Like, I misplayed against my two most hated decks in the meta back then, Trickstars and Pendulum Magicians. What happened was, my hand consisted of all 3 copies of Haniwater, which is a good card to side against Trickstars. I had 2 copies of Eternal Soul and 2 copies of the Eye of Timaeus face down. I set Timaeus because I was trying to reduce my hand size as much as possible so that reincarnation wouldn't hurt me. Speaking of which, that got activated, and I chained one of my Haniwaters, which was the correct play, but here's where I basically had probably the worst brain fart ever, and that was discarding all 3 of them, leaving me with nothing in hand, and I didn't draw any cards. And then it took me a few seconds to realise what I'd done, and that cost me the game. I was attacked by a few monsters, but I was still alive, but my next draw was a Veiler, which wouldn't have helped, so I just scooped. And then I saw the card after Veiler was Dark Magician, so if I hadn't made that stupid misplay, I could have turned the duel around in my favour and probably won the match, because this was in game 3. So what would have happened if I hadn't misplayed there was I would have drawn into Veiler and Dark Magician, I would have activated Eternal Soul, special summoned Dark Magician, activated the Eye of Timaeus and made Dark Magician the Dragon Knight and attacked Lycoris, because that was the biggest threat on the field, and then ended my turn, and should a Candina get dropped, or another problematic monster, I had a Veiler ready to go, and I think he would have switched his monsters to defence and ended, and then on his end phase I would have gone Eternal Soul, Res Dark Magician, then draw, activate my other Eye of Timaeus, because the Dragon Knight's name is treated as Dark Magician, I would have turned him into either Amulet Dragon or Dark Paladin, depending on what I needed more, and how much damage I could potentially do. Then I would have used Eternal Soul again to res the Dragon Knight, attack his remaining monsters, then get in a direct attack, and chances are I could have won. Now, I'm no trickstar expert, like I've never played with the deck myself, and I never will, because I hate trickstars with a fucking passion. I wouldn't even touch them with a stick. But I don't think they would have had a way to get round a board of Eternal Soul and Dark Magician and Dragon Knight. And then in the other match against Pendulum Magicians, I basically made the wrong fusion against them. The opponent had Decode Talker, which was pointing to a Beals and a Purple Poison Magician, and he had Harmonizing Magician in the Pendulum Zone. I then made Dark Paladin because I wanted something that could run over Decode Talker, but then I realised a bit too late that Harmonizing Magician was powering them up. 100 points for every different Pendulum Magician monster in the extra deck. So what I should have done instead was made Amulet Dragon, because I had no back row to work with, so Dragon Knight would have been pointless, and it would have been weaker than Decode Talker, and Beals actually. It was just so bad. Like, I had to use Spellbook of Knowledge on Dark Paladin of all things, and just hope I can draw something that can save me. I drew an Eternal Soul, which helped a little bit, but not enough, of course, and I lost the match. And then, of course, there was the misplay in the Yu-Gi-Oh's 20th anniversary Endurance last year, where I attacked Malicious Bane with Shooting Star Dragon, forgetting that Weber's 5 had Honest Neos in hand, and not only did that cost me the game, but it also ruined any chance I had of winning that Endurance, and as a result, my decks struggled against his remaining 3. Also didn't help that I used 3 old-fashioned Dark Magician decks against a Chaos Max deck. Don't know what I was thinking there. So I lost 3 decks for just no reason. I used Magician Girls against the Chaos Max deck because they can deal with Chaos Max quite easily, and they could have won if it wasn't for fucking Creature Swap, one of my most hated spells in the game. So I was just luck sacked, and I had to beat it with Summon Skull, of all things. There's probably some other regrets that I have from the game, and a lot of other misplays, but I can't think of any others off the top of my head. Now, there were a few questions left by Tom Morris, but rather annoyingly, YouTube kept deleting them. Wouldn't be surprised if he thinks it was me, but I assure you, it is not me that's deleting them, it's YouTube, because they keep deleting perfectly good comments for no good reason, which is just infuriating. That being said, though, there are a couple of questions that, to be honest, I don't really feel comfortable answering. So I'm going to skip those ones. I will answer the other ones though. If you could click your fingers and have one of the rarest cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, what would it be? Metamorphosis. In fact, I would like to have 2 copies of Metamorphosis, so I can put those in my GOAT format Elemental Hero deck. As rather annoyingly, it's an old card which is expensive and difficult to get, like whether it's the common or the super rare. Like, I'm not even gonna try and get the Champ Pack super rare. Damn that! Like, I can't spare the money to buy 2 of that. It also doesn't help that it hasn't been reprinted since the Champ Pack that it came out in. Only 3 prints it's had, which is just crazy. That was like way over a decade ago. Pharaonic Guardian, Dark Revelation 1, and whatever Champ Pack it came in. Like, I can't even remember off the top of my head. A reprint would be nice. Billsy was saying it should be reprinted, but since it's a banned card, what would really be the point? Or at least that's what Konami might think. Or other people, I guess. What are the things that people are trying to make you do that you don't want to do? Well, it's a mixture of things, really. Like someone in my family trying to encourage me to do some things with my holiday time that I either don't want to do or don't care that much about. She's always or at least the way I feel, she's always interfering in matters regarding holiday time. And that's just one of my pet peeves, like people being intrusive or interfering in things that don't concern them. It's just so annoying. I mean, in terms of the time off that I'm taking now, like, I just want to relax and have time for myself. Like, I need space, and like I said in the rant, I need to just take a break, do what I need to do to just recharge and just feel better mentally. The other thing is just people trying to get me to play games that I'm really not interested in playing. Pokemon, Cardfight Vanguard, Phasmophobia, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, as in the remake. I mean, like, the remake is terrifying. Even playing the original version was scary and stressful enough as it is. I don't want to go through it again. I mean, I will happily watch people play that game. I do love the reactions that I did when watching my friends Express Gaming and Gamer Central play it. Anyway, yeah, there's that. And also in Yu-Gi-Oh, certain people always trying to get me to play against decks that I hate and just don't want to play against, because they do too many things that stop me from being able to play, whether it's like an FTK deck, an OTK deck, a lockdown deck, or a deck that does both, like Cyber Dragons, Endymion, Pendulum Magicians, for instance, or as a Trolley, Storly, Burn or Deck Out deck. I hate all decks that do these things. They just ruin the game. They suck all the fun, life and joy out of it. The main reason I even stopped playing in tournaments was to specifically get away from those kinds of decks so that I wouldn't have to deal with them anymore. And I sure as hell don't want to play against them in a casual game. Like, I've even said time and time again that I hate these decks and don't want to play against them, yet they keep being brought against me anyway. It's like my wishes aren't being respected. And that's another general pet peeve, which I think I mentioned before. People not respecting my wishes and decisions. Now I know all these things might sound really petty, not that big a deal, but these specific things do bother me. That's really all there is to it. And just the fact that this and other shitty things have happened just kept piling on top of each other, and it just well, I've been over this in the channel update and rant video, but it all just got too much and was just piling up and leaving me annoyed, stressed and miserable. I did have more to say, but I forgot what it was, but I think we get the idea though. In 2021, do you find it's harder to get a girlfriend because of the pandemic? Yes, I do. Or like, I'd say near impossible. There's lockdown, the tier system being a thing. I'd say it was practically impossible. But then again, though, even before the pandemic happened, like, I kind of decided to just pretty much give up all hope of finding a girlfriend, to be honest. Yet at the same time, I would like to have one more than anything in the entire world. But the thing is, though, I've had so much bad luck with women over the years that I kind of just decided that if there is any woman out there who has any romantic interest in me at all, then she can just come to me, because I'm just so sick and tired of chasing women, trying to get somewhere with them, only to get basically nothing out of it, and as a result just end up being either ignored, just rejected, or dumped. Like, either way, it's just frustrating when women who I'm interested in or have an interest in me, or both, regardless of whether we were in a relationship or not, just giving up on me and pushing me away. I'm just sick and tired of it. I mean, I have been told that I shouldn't give up just like that, and that I should try my luck on Plenty of Fish again, but I really don't want to use Plenty of Fish. Like, I gave up using that website 3 years ago because I've had too many bad experiences, and I would rather not go through that again. See, one of my problems is that if I have a bad experience with something, then it makes me not want to do that something anymore. Like, now, I know obviously I let bad things get me down too much, and like over the last few years it does seem like I give up on things too easily, but I can't help it. Like, that's just how I am nowadays. But all because one bad thing after another just consistently keeps happening. It's enough to lower one's self-esteem. But you know, I just try and get through the days, and I do try my best to just focus on things that make me happy and make me feel better. I find that does help big time. Last question. What do you look for in a girl, and what do they need to look like? Well, I don't really think looks are important, really. I mean, like, it's all very well looking just really, really beautiful, but yeah, looks aren't everything. Like, it's all about the personality more than anything. I mean, quite honestly, I will just happily just settle for someone who genuinely does love me and accept me for who I am, like, regardless of any flaws that I have. Like, that's literally all I want. I like to think that I'm a man of simple needs and wants, or at least I try to be. Then again, the fact that I'm after specific rare Yu-Gi-Oh cards and a certain number of them kind of makes that contradictory. Yeah. But I try to have simple needs. Yeah, that's basically all I got. I was going to say something, but I lost my trail of thought. And yeah, that is it for questions in this episode, you guys. I'm just going to refresh, make sure I haven't missed any. Sorry, my hair's in my mouth. Oh, that's it. Yeah, this has been a very long episode. I apologise that this is a really long video. But all the same, thank you very much for your guys' questions. And remember, if you guys have any other questions you want to ask me, just post them in the comment section down below. And remember, I do these episodes every Tuesday afternoon UK time, so be sure to get your questions in before then, so that you don't miss out. So thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Richician YouTube channel.